Hey, what's up? It's your boy. Today I got a very special guest. Now there's different YouTubers I hang out with. You've seen me talk with Big Talk, Little Talk, some other YouTubers, and honestly, we're part of something called Power Anthem Network, where it's like a bunch of YouTubers getting together, and it's a really cool thing. And honestly, this guy coming up, to tell you the truth, a lot of times he says things, and I kind of like, say, damn, I feel exactly the same way. You know what I mean? We probably may. But who knows? We're gonna find out more today. You know what I mean? But I have a lot of I like a lot of things he says. He's a cool guy. Definitely check him out. I think a lot of Fridays we end up on Big Talk, Little Talk on that kind of like Friday get together, right?
Yes. My name is Dack Rouleau. I'm the founder of overwritten.org.
Okay. Yeah. Oh. Exactly. I was just about to ask you to introduce yourself, but you did it. That's great. So, Dack, man, what's your experience with activism?
Well, my experience with activism started in earnest last summer when I decided to ask as many of the Democratic Party presidential candidates as I could to make an official statement on the persecution of Julian Assange. I asked somewhere between 15 and 20 of the candidates where they stood on the issue, beginning with Andrew Yang. And so if you're looking for one of those past candidates' official positions on Assange, I tend to be the primary source. My videos that I posted to my YouTube channel and on Twitter and elsewhere, they formed the basis for a kind of prism into how the Democratic Party feels about this war on journalism.
That's really dope, man. I knew you were Assange. There's Assange stuff going on with you, but I didn't know that you had done that project. That sounds like an awesome project. I bet you a lot of these politicians were ducking and weaving, trying not to answer the question. How'd you lock them down and make that happen? That's crazy. I know how good these politicians are ducking and weaving. You know what I mean? They are the
Right.
super experts. So
I had to learn on the fly because I was doing this pretty much by myself. It was actually the reason I got a Twitter account was in order to try to send this content out to as many people as possible. I live in New Hampshire, which of course is sort of a festering ground for the Democratic Party presidential candidates. They came to the state swarming throughout it, trying to go to host as many rallies and events as they could. And so I learned where to find them. I learned how to track them down using this app that New Hampshire Public Radio released. And I just took the time out of my day, usually on my days off, but sometimes took time off from work in order to get out there and try to get the footage. Very time consuming, sometimes took hours to drive to the rallies, plus several more hours sitting through the rallies. And then you don't even know if you're going to be able to get them to answer the question. But I tried to go to the smaller rallies where you'd have a better chance of getting called on to ask a question. But it was a learning experience. And I will take that wisdom 4 years from now when the next election cycle starts and probably do it all over again.
Hey, I'm a fan of that project. Next time, you know what I mean? If I can help you out, you know what I mean? Maybe like sometimes I end up in New Hampshire. I'll try to ask the same question. I'll be like, yo, I'm here with, you know what I mean? Overwritten, you said? Overwritten.org?
That's right.
Okay, yeah. I'm here with overwritten.org. I want to ask a question about Assange. You guys going to help out or what? I like that, man. That's pretty hardcore, man. That's fucking awesome. You came up with that all by yourself?
Yeah. What started.
I like that.
What happened?
I told you I like this guy. I told you. Yeah, but go ahead.
What happened was Andrew Yang was hosting a small rally here in Concord, the capital. And knowing the size of the venue, I figured it wasn't going to be some kind of massive event like a Trump rally. And I was able to get in and get right up next to him and ask him the question. It was nerve-wracking. It was always nerve-wracking. But from there, I found John Delaney, and then I did an exclusive interview with Tulsi Gabbard. And then from her, I think I found Bill de Blasio next. And it became a snowball.
She gave you an exclusive interview? She gave you an exclusive interview?
I did, yeah. Yes, Tulsi Gabbard and I sat down in southern New Hampshire. Yeah, we talked about Assange and some other things. I was a pretty vocal Tulsi Gabbard supporter for a while. And then just because of her stance on Julian Assange, I appreciated that she was the only Democratic Party candidate who actually took a clear stance in support of him. And so it was I felt that it was necessary because the mainstream corporate media did not cover this issue at all. In fact, no news outlet had been seriously doing it. Primo Nutmeg had asked Tulsi Gabbard about Julian Assange, but you wouldn't get that on CNN or MSNBC. The New York Times did eventually do a poll of the candidates, but you found that they were all very dishonest in their answers because some of the candidates told the New York Times, they gave them a kind of nebulous answer suggesting that they supported Assange. But then if you look at my footage with those candidates, you will see that they flat out say they don't support him. Amy Klobuchar was the best example. She just said in plain language no when I asked if she would support Julian Assange. But to the New York Times, she gave this maudlin, sentimental piece about how she's the daughter of a newspaper man and she understands the importance of the freedom of the press, but never gets around to actually answering the question.
And I'm shocked that she even told you the truth, but, no, what does she have to gain from saying no? But, sometimes they just forget, and that's why it's the duty of us on the ground to get that information. Actually, I feel like I recently did something with MPP where I tried to get them to support Assange, and I almost feel like your project, I may have heard about it incidentally, I feel like it was almost inspired because I also was trying to lock in a hardcore on the paper to literally say Assange on the platform, right? It says we support open media and right to information, but they do not explicitly say Assange, and he needs our help right now. He's suffering. It's not cool. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So that's really cool, man. You may have inspired my action in some way. That's crazy. Damn.
Yeah,
what a world.
My work was oftentimes broadcast without me getting the credit. There's a young woman who tried to steal my work, and that was one issue. Other than that, I don't mind if people distribute the content for free as long as they're not trying to take credit for it, which was the issue I had with this person. But beyond that, I was just happy to get the word out there, regardless of trying to make a celebrity out of myself, because the Andrew Yang video did appear to be somewhat influential. But it wasn't about me. It was about Andrew Yang putting himself out there, giving a terrible answer when he wasn't under any kind of serious pressure. You saw that Bernie Sanders was refusing to say whether or not he would support Assange to me. Tim Ryan, he also contradicted himself. He told the New York Times that he did not support the prosecution, but he told me that he would not defend Assange. So you've got a lot of incoherence there. But yeah, the videos did circulate, and my effort there, or my intention, was to try to educate people, to prove to them that the Democrats are not on their side. I wanted well-meaning progressives to understand that these are neoliberals in progressive clothing. You can look at my video of Beto O'Rourke. He gave an incredibly rambling, Russia-gating response. And to anybody who thought that he was going to be on their side and be one of the good guys leading a kind of progressive revolution, they would be sorely disappointed.
Well, honestly, that's incredible, inspiring. I didn't even know that about you. That's fucking cool as shit. But wait a second. Okay, so you have this thing that you started, overwritten.org. Is that for Assange, or is that for your own, investigative journalism or whatever?
No. Overwritten.org is a general journalism website. It does focus heavily on politics. I've kind of been taking a bit of a break from it for the last couple of months, just because I felt a lot of fatigue at the end of the Tulsi Gabbard campaign, and I was getting discouraged by a lot of what I saw on Twitter. But I also was just trying to prepare for this last leg of the election, because it is going to be a very brutal finish. We're going to limp to the finish line, and it is going to be ugly. But what I attempt to do there is I attempt to provide a more literate approach to these issues, incorporating literary references and a more formal writing style, because I think that within the independent media, you get a lot of people who do incredibly good research, better research than I do, but at the same time, they are all writing about these issues in basically the same exact style. There isn't any kind of vocal diversity. It seems that everyone pretty much sounds exactly the same as everybody else. So what I attempt to do with my website is to provide a different voice or a different style to the content, in a way to try to encourage people to look a little bit deeper than just the surface facts.
Okay. So look, you've done you've done this thing, this overwritten. You've had some experience on the campaign. You've gotten a lot of attention and stuff like that for some of your work, and you've gotten to see things that a lot of other people don't get to see, right? Like certain interactions and things like that.
Yeah.
How has your perspective changed from your experiences?
Well, since I started going out on the campaign trail, I would say that I am much more pessimistic about the possibilities of a progressive revolution, particularly within the Democratic Party. Um, I think that I made my own mistake of dwelling on the character flaw of a candidate like Tulsi Gabbard or Bernie Sanders, arguing about the person's imperfections when there's a bigger issue, which is
Okay.
that regardless of how you feel about Tulsi, Bernie, Yang, or the progressive icon of your choosing, there's a bigger issue, which is that the structure of the Democratic Party is basically a fortress that will bar any truly progressive activists from entrance.
Okay.
And so it doesn't matter if Bernie is perfect or if Tulsi is perfect, or even if you had a more hardcore progressive like Ralph Nader attempting to run within the Democratic Party. The party apparatus and machinery will shut that candidate down, as we
Yeah.
saw here on Super Tuesday or even 4 years ago. So, in that sense, I've become much more pessimistic about the possibility of an institutional revolution. But at the same time, I've also acquired a kind of liberation from the depressive pressure that goes along with that. I don't say it in a nihilistic way that we have to give up on the Democratic Party. I say it in a sense of relief to say that I am no longer fighting this unwinnable war. I'm no longer pushing rock up the hill.
Yeah. I get that. And to tell you the truth, I actually left the Democratic Party like probably like more than 20 years ago because I came to that conclusion as well. They've always had these problems. Just so you know, also third parties also have these problems as well. You know
How
what I
old
mean?
are you?
I'm 45, like around there.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people are surprised by that, and yeah, surprise.
Yeah, yeah, I was.
Okay.
Yeah, the Green Party also has it has its a litany of issues, and not
Yeah.
just because the nominee Howie Hawkins is anti-Assange. Primo Nutmeg has been doing some outstanding journalism on this, and I interviewed Ian Schlachman, one of the former presidential candidates. He described his issues within the party. It's a torturous system.
Okay. So, out of all the things that you've done, right, what do you think have been the most productive activities for people who like yourself, who are like sympathizers, right? They might think I want to do this, I want to do that. Like out of the work that you did, right? Well, how can they be effective? How can like what's your perspective on that?
Well, I think what they have to do is they have to go out into these political ecosystems that I've experienced. They need to get out of their progressive echo chamber. Because I think that what happens is on Twitter, we tend to spend so much time staring into the mirror of our own political subculture that we tend to think that that subculture is larger than it actually is. That's why there was such passionate support for Tulsi Gabbard on Twitter, yet it didn't translate into anything tangible at the voting booth. And I think also people would recognize that if they had gone to the rallies of some of the other candidates. It was very unpleasant to go to Pete Buttigieg's rallies, listening to his platitudes. It was sickening, it was painful, and it was depressing, but it also helped me to understand what exactly is wrong with the American electorate. You can see that it's much bigger than just the people at the Trump rallies or the people
Yeah.
who believe Joe Biden's a hero. There is a huge issue, but there's also one other thing people have to do in that environment. They have to learn to stop talking. The reason I was able to blend in at those rallies and trick the candidates into answering my questions was because I didn't try to assert my own opinion. I never went there and tried to make a big to-do about Julian Assange. I would just, before the candidate arrived, I would just talk to the other people and let them voice their own opinions. If you want to be the most popular person in the world, all you have to do is just let other people tell you their opinions. People love to pontificate. And you would listen to these people and you would see how vacuous they really were. I remember there was a girl who was getting ready to vote for the first time. She said she was voting for Andrew Yang because of his stance on abortion. And I'm not trying to mock her, but I mean, you can see that there is a very superficial analysis of the issues taking place there. People get spoiled when they go to a Tulsi Gabbard rally or even a Bernie Sanders rally. They tend to forget that there are some seriously gullible people over on the other side of the fence.
Yeah. Or, sometimes they call it willful, or willful ignorance, right? Yeah. I wonder how much of that is. But yeah, I do the same thing. It's crazy. Like, I'm in Justice Democrats, brand new Congress, Yang Gang. I get emails from all the candidates, so I know like what their messaging is, who they're talking to. I think exactly the same way. That's pretty dope, man. I really like what you said, and just from there's a couple of people like so all the people out there, you're damn right. Get out of those echo chambers. Join the other groups and understand how they think. And I love what you said, right? It's about listening. Yeah? Too many people, they stand the high horse, and that's just, it's not productive. So that's amazing. I'm definitely having you back on the show. We're going to do some things together more. There's no question about it. Now, the thing is that when you look at like different, like you got to work or see different campaigns in action, right?
Yeah.
Which one of these organizations do you feel like were the most effective, or maybe let's say, because effective can mean a lot of things, right? Like a lot of these establishment candidates, they had a lot more money to work with than maybe someone like Tulsi Gabbard. So as in terms of being efficient for these organizations, what do you think, what are some of the best practices that you've seen for these political organizations?
Well, the Tulsi Gabbard campaign obviously got the most out of its spending because they were operating on a shoestring budget. That is another thing, by the way, that people need to realize is the absurd amount of money that is required to have any kind of viability in politics. The Tulsi Gabbard campaign spent, I believe, in excess of $1 million, which is chump change compared to pretty much all of the other major campaigns.
Yeah, didn't Bernie have like 150 or something? He had like really like over 100.
Sorry?
Didn't Bernie have like over 150 or something million?
It wouldn't surprise me. You could see at a Bernie Sanders rally that there was definitely a lot more money being spent. Bernie Sanders had private security. You had to go through a metal detector, things like that. More like consistently experienced staff, which I'm not trashing the Gabbard campaign. What I was trying to say was that
I felt that too. I was actually going to mention that. Yeah, that I was exactly. You're damn right. I was actually going to mention that exactly. I was shocked at the lack of security around Tulsi. I was like, what the. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah.
Well, the issue is that even though $1 million isn't a lot of money, it's obviously much more than you or I have. Like, we don't have $1 million just to gamble on this presidential campaign, which this is ultimately the biggest problem in politics, is the incestuous marriage of money and campaigning. But what you would see, so Tulsi Gabbard's campaign was the most efficiently run as far as the amount of money that was being poured into it. But with the other campaigns, the larger ones like Pete Buttigieg or Joe Biden, there was almost a kind of carnival atmosphere, not as lurid as what you would get at a Trump rally, of course, but there was definitely this sense that you were moving among a powerful mass of people. You want to feel like you're part of the winning team. And there's a radical difference between a Biden campaign at a rich person's home where you get 200 or 300 people, and one of the Tulsi campaigns that I attended early on in the summer of 2019, not too far from the Canadian border, where literally only 20 people attended. You just get a sense of the party machinery. You know who has the money behind them, but you also know that the people at the Biden rally, or the people working for Biden rather, you to them are just one unit among so many. So he doesn't really have to try to impress you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he can challenge you to do push-ups or do some other funny things, right? Yeah.
Yes, I was there.
Or go vote for someone else. That's his famous line, right? You don't want to vote for me, vote for someone else. Vote for the other guy. Well, He's always saying that, right?
That is the
He's hilarious.
tenor.
Yeah,
it's the.
We don't need you. Yeah, we don't need the Latinos. We don't need them. What the fuck, man?
It's
what the fuck?
Of so many political campaigns is if you don't like me, then don't vote for me. But I mean, you're a politician. What am I supposed to do? Invite you to dinner? Like it's like if I'm not going to vote for you, then I'm hurting you. Am I not?
Yo, I want to ask something too. Actually, I'm from New York, and I did quite a bit of work in New Hampshire with Tulsi's campaign. I fucking love Tulsi. Yeah. So the thing is that we were out there and I saw the signs everywhere. I don't know if it was in your neighborhood, but we had the Tulsi signs everywhere. And I
Yeah,
would talk
yeah.
to people in the streets with the same strategy you have, right? Because I want to find out what's really going on. I'm not going to trust the mainstream media. I'm not going to trust whatever. I said, like, who do you support? I wouldn't even say anything, you know what I mean? And, like, they would look nervous, you know what I mean? I get it, you know what I mean? But nobody said they were supporting Amy Klobuchar. Nobody. So all of a sudden at the end, right, like, I didn't see any ads for her. I know I'm in New York. Maybe she was running ads in New Hampshire. How the hell did all of a sudden in the end, you know what I mean? I didn't get it. And there was a lot of people like, oh, Tulsi, I know who she is. I've seen the signs everywhere. Was it the same
Yeah.
thing for you? So how, Amy, what happens?
Well, actually, yeah, you can still see several of the Tulsi Gabbard billboards throughout the state.
Hell yeah.
Until recently, there was a John McCain banner that was still being held up north. It was only about 3 or 4 years ago that somebody finally took that down. What happened with Amy Klobuchar, and this is something again that people wouldn't know if they didn't get out of their progressive echo chamber, is that most people who vote don't attend campaign rallies. Most people just listen to the tenor of a campaign ad or two, maybe hear what their preferred cable news commentator has to say, and then they make a thoughtless decision not too long before they go out to vote. So Amy Klobuchar basically attracted a lot of people who were sleeping until the day of the test. These are not people who were seriously following the campaign at all. She also picked up a lot of Republicans who were sitting out the primary for one reason or another, not necessarily because they hate Trump, but because Trump was going to win, so it didn't matter. You're getting this amorphous mass that doesn't take the issues very seriously. They just want to feel like they're part of the club. And there was some last-minute enthusiasm for Klobuchar that allowed her to get third place, which was shocking and not at all in a good way.
Yeah, well, that actually, your insight is actually very valuable to me, and I really appreciate that. Actually, once you said the answer, like, it really makes a lot of sense to me. And for the long time, and during that time, I was definitely in the funnel working with all the campaigners, so I was sucked up. So, yeah, that does make sense to me. Yeah. Oh man. Well, we got to find a way to defeat that. Yeah, that's Yeah, and the fact that you're from New Hampshire is amazing. Actually, I want to have like this, actually a very powerful addition to the Power Anthem network. So I'm so excited to meet you, man. I could help represent your interests in New York. I don't know. Our interests, right? We're very aligned on the same kind of thing because we both Tulsi supporters, both supporting Assange. I think most people think the way we think. I mean, anybody who would look at this stuff, I mean, it's just justice. Most things want justice. Even animals will try to fight for justice.
I don't think. Yeah. I don't think most people do, though, because like I said, I went to all those different campaigns for the other candidates who definitely formed the majority, and you can see that most of them did not have any regard for the Assange case, nor were they very concerned. I mean, even some of Tulsi Gabbard's supporters don't support Assange. That's kind of a misconception about her supporters, that they all have the same view on Assange. They unfortunately did not. I had some bad interactions with some of her supporters on that very issue, and I remember seeing some hardcore Democrats way up north who said that they would rather vote for Trump than vote for Tulsi if it was going to come down to Assange staying out of jail. So
why are people so anti-Assange? Is it like the typical the thing where they say, oh, he put like agents at risk or something, or like what is?
Well, there's definitely a large element of psychopathy and sadism in the United States. Okay. Hitler wrote about this in the lead up to World War I, arguing that the contempt between Germany and Hungary was so intense that there was no way to resolve the problem peacefully. I think that we're having a similar issue here in the United States right now, where the left and the right, or the cultural left and the cultural right, despise each other so furiously that there is no way for a peaceful compromise to be reached. They really just want to kill each other, which is probably a big incentive for people to go out into these riots.
But Assange isn't really left or right. He's just someone who reveals information.
Right, but the thing is, because there's this element to want to see your enemies punished, and because both of these political organizations, the Democrats and Republicans, have directed so much of their ire towards him, there's a collective bloodlust, and people want to see him suffer. That's why I think this country the ground is so fertile for an emergent fascist, because it wouldn't be difficult to find a person who can combine everybody's anger and promise to eradicate the people who are supposedly destroying this country. And Assange would be one of their top targets.
So that's, I've been trying to resist this. You see more of a societal issue at hand. I have to admit that, I see that as well. I guess I'm trying to deny it because that's a much harder battle to fight. But you can't deny it. It's true. We have to restructure the. Actually, I talk about that with Israel and stuff too. We need to restructure the values of this society and be the ones that are actually on the forefront of change and providing the example that you don't have to follow whatever crap they say. They try to hang like access or jobs or money, like this is what you really want. This is why you got to do all this crooked stuff. You can just be a decent human being and just help another person. It's just yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the thing is you could create a jobs program for the people who are unemployed, but if the people who are unemployed are still going to be consuming that same agitprop that is cable news, I mean, you really watch cable news every once in a while, and you will just see how unbelievably vicious it is. There is, like I said, there's a bloodlust, there is a demonization of the other side, and the problem is that much of the independent media, progressive Twitter, there is also a very serious bloodlust there too. You can see that people really want their enemies to suffer, and I'm not saying everybody does, but there is so much hatred on Twitter, even when people are trying to make a good point. I realized recently that it's almost impossible to tweet something that is not passive aggressive, even if what you're saying is true. There's so much hatred and bile out there, and it's just at some point it's going to spill over.
Yeah, everything has a price. I've been on the receiving end of that more than a couple times, man, and it doesn't feel good, man. It's just straight cruelty, man. It's not cool, man. So,
no.
By the way, do you follow Chris Hedges? I'm sure you do. You're a literary guy. So, how do you feel about his interpretation of things? I know a lot of people watch this channel are familiar with Chris Hedges' work.
Chris Hedges is definitely inspired by this Calvinist view of reaping what one has sown, and his dark worldview, I think, is a necessary complement to the pathological optimism in which the corporate media specializes. I think that we do need to consider the worst case scenario here. The problem is that people tend to run with that and use it in a passive aggressive sense to denigrate their enemies, which is not Chris Hedges' fault. I give him considerable credit for doing what I've done, which is going into these places where you're not going to find the most agreeable human beings. You're going to find people who are suffering and wayward and miserable, and you're going to see what their lives are actually like. He's what Michael Moore would want to be, but ultimately never could be because he's too compromised by his connections to the establishment. And so there's a great journalistic integrity on Hedges' part, and Hedges, his show On Contact is one of the better things people can watch. I try to watch as little of these YouTube and similar programs as possible. I try to watch as little, and I watch as little as I can and read as much as I can, but I can make an exception for his show On Contact.
Okay, yeah, that's great. I'm not trying to go about Chris Hedges, but he lost his job recently. Did he get it back, or is Contact another thing? He got another thing going. He lost his job pretty recently or something.
What job was that?
He was writing for some online thing, and then I think he got fired because he stood up for someone else.
No, he was writing for Truth Dig, and then Truth Dig. He wasn't. I don't believe he was fired. I believe that there was some kind of issue where the company was going under new, unreliable management, and there were some layoffs, and so I believe he resigned in protest. But On Contact is a television show that is produced by RT, so that's completely different.
Okay. Hey, look, I think you're super fascinating, and honestly, the more I learn about you, the more I like. That's fucking for real, man. So I want to share you with the rest of my audience over here, which 250 for right now. That's all good, though. Hey, man, it's quality work, and I'm going to continue working in the political sphere, so I'm sure it's going to grow. How can people find? You said overwritten.org, right?
Yeah, overwritten.org is the website. I am starting to get back into that. I just the other day published a piece on Bill Gates.
Oh,
He made a very disturbing appearance on CNN where I think he was giving a subliminal threat to his critics.
okay.
I wrote a piece on that. I always promote my work on Twitter at Dack Rouleau. And
We'll put the
I tend
link
to be
below. Dack Rouleau. Okay, no problem. I'll
at
put the
Dack
link below.
Rouleau.
Yeah.
And the link is on overwritten.org as well.
Hell yeah. All right, cool, man. So, what are your thoughts about the current situation, the COVID, political? Well, it's like a big mixed bag. You could choose whatever you want, but the current
Yeah.
situation, what's up? Yeah.
Well, the thing is, we can all agree, I would hope, we can all agree that there is something nefarious taking place here, that the government is up to something malicious. We don't know what exactly it is. I'm not suggesting anything specific. I think that what we need to do, and this is one of the challenges of staying in the Twitter stream where everything is happening so rapidly. I think we need to take a step back and we need to think about how the government exploited the collective panic after 9/11 and how there was a series of measures and actions that were taken to revoke many of our civil liberties, but it didn't all happen overnight. And it took a while, it took years to understand the totality of it. We're still trying to understand it all. I think with this coronavirus, there's a similar learning curve, if you will. I think that we can sense that there's something malicious taking place, but we don't know what exactly that is. So I know that there's something sinister afoot, but I think we have to wait and see what is actually taking place behind closed doors, because we know right now. We like I said, we don't have all the information. So just be alert, keep your eyes open. But I would caution people against jumping to any rigid conclusions, because however bad you think it is, it's probably much worse than it is. We just have to give it some time.
And I just want to provide another way of just another facet of what you're saying right there, right? I agree with you 100%, and that's why we need independent reporters just like yourself and myself and other people out there. Look at what you did with the Assange thing, as in terms of like invading the the different rallies and then getting that footage right there. That's amazing. And the thing is that with the independent media, right? The thing, if you're mainstream media, right? Let's suppose that you're even you want to do it, guys. Let's just say you just started working there, whatever. Right? You're not compromised, whatever. You're only one person on one day, right? Right? Like asking for that interview, or you only have a certain limited viewpoint, so you can't get all the information. And if you think that the whole thing of the COVID was only the restructuring the money to the big people, you know what I mean? Honestly, how was that money restructured? Some people will be cutting, some people will cut out. How does that possibly shape the future? Do you think you know something because you saw something on on a YouTube thing, or you read a headline and you think you know all about it? There's no way, man. So absolutely, we need people just like yourself to. Do you have a donation thing on your overwritten thing?
I do. I have a PayPal.
I'm putting up $5 right now and put that at the end of my video. Me donating $5. We need to. We need to support organizations exactly like this. That's just, I hope you guys do it, and just to show the example, I'm gonna do it myself. You know, what I mean, no one can stop me. But God's truth is and actually one thing that I'm trying to do is I'm really excited Power Anthem Network, because we need to work together. There's a huge market missing, right? Because the mainstream media doesn't want to cover anything that could be controversial, anything that might lose them access or whatever. You know what I mean? And the truth is out there, and the public wants the truth as much as the public is passive and whack and all this stuff. They want the truth too. It's very attractive, and we can give it to them. And we will create an independent network, this Power Anthem Network, or maybe a Power Anthem Network will work out, maybe it won't. I don't care, but this is the type of guy I'm going to try to be working with in the future, man. Right. I love it, man. Thank you so much for coming on, Dack.
Yeah, no, thank you very much.
No doubt, man. I'll see you on the next one, all right? God bless. Catch us this Friday probably, or on overwritten.org. Yeah. You should start a YouTube channel, man. You got one?
I do have a YouTube channel. It's where I've posted all of my videos of the candidates talking about Assange. I'm about to put it all onto one roughly 15-minute video and upload that before the election. Before anybody goes looking for it, though, I did not get Joe Biden. It's very difficult to ask a question at his rallies because of the massive size, and he had already called Assange a cyber terrorist anyway, so I didn't think that there was much point in.
I've also seen his rallies, man. You would stand out like a sore thumb because everybody in those rallies is like 60 plus up, 70 up. There's nobody your age. So, like, what's this one young guy doing here? He doesn't belong here. You know what I mean?
They tried to get some young people to go to his rallies.
Yeah, but you could tell they're plants because they're like nonstop. You know what I mean? Like they paid to clap.
Many of them probably worked for his campaign. That's a trend.
Yeah. They're hoping for position later on in the Democratic Party, right? This access, right? It's messing up politics. It's messing up journalism. It's messing up everything. You know, people want access. They want to be man. Stay true to your roots, man. To people the truth. You know what I mean? Hell yeah. All right, Dack, man. I'm really happy to learn about you, man. It was fucking inspiring. God bless, man. Watch for that 5 in the overrides coming up in a couple minutes. God bless. Peace, brother.
Thank you.
All right, see you. These videos are independently produced and funded, and your support is deeply appreciated. Liking the video and subscribing helps the channel, and ringing the bell icon will keep you notified as to when we upload new content. You can also check out our other social media platforms. We'd love to hear from you. We also have our event calendar, links in the description. On our Reddit, you can come in and get on the conversation and check out some of the memes. Like and share, it really helps us in the YouTube algorithm. Every week on Sunday, we have a live online meeting where you can join us in working to create and nurture the change that we need. I'd like to invite you to check out some of our other videos. Until next time, may all your actions bring you success. Stay focused, stay strong, and reinvest in yourself as well as your community. Together, our efforts can be greater than the sum of the parts. The power is in your hands. Thanks for watching.